welcome back to season 5 of the Sinead Says podcast. It has been a while, and there's a few reasons for that. Yeah, a lot has changed since the last season. Going through a breakup, single at 30. I got diagnosed with endometriosis as well as adenomyosis through my surgery. I also had surgery, and I also moved countries. And I just got into my house and I wanted to be settled in my wee house before I started the podcast. I'm so nervous. Can you hear it in my voice? So yeah, like there's a lot of things that have happened, and I just wanted to update you. I thought this could just be a quick update on what is going on and what I've learned in the last few months, because it's been maybe 3 months since my last season. So I'm sorry to all the listeners, but I am back, and hopefully I'll come back with so many more life lessons. And we want to change the podcast a wee bit. We might want to structure it a wee bit more, and we would love your suggestions as well. But before we get started, we're going to talk about the sponsor, BetterHelp, who have kindly sponsored the podcast once again. And it's been amazing feedback from you guys. Your messages and reviews from BetterHelp have really been amazing, and I'm so happy that people are getting the therapy they need, and it's easily accessed through BetterHelp, because BetterHelp is an online therapy platform, and it's used within the app. So you can call, you can text and message your therapist, and yeah, it's really easy to use. The app is absolutely amazing. There's so many features on it, like group hours, for attachment types, for how you're feeling, and yeah, you can just talk to your therapist there via text or Zoom as well. So if you want to sign up to BetterHelp, it is 10% off the first month with the code Sinead. So it's betterhelp.com/Sinead, and that will get you 10% off your first month. Okay, I can breathe. So I just moved to Australia. I honestly, I'm sitting in my wee house now. I've just got all my furniture in. It is a big step up because I've never bought furniture. I've never furnished a house. I feel like I've been waiting on this moment since I left Australia when I was 27. I got locked out in the pandemic for 959 days to be exact. But yeah, it was almost 3 years getting back in, and I just really felt ungrounded everywhere. I couldn't buy a microwave or an air fryer or anything. I just felt really unsettled, and I just felt I was so ready to just start my new life in Australia. So here I am finally in Australia, and I'm so grateful to be here because I've been away for so long, and I just missed all my friends and my life here, and it is amazing. Now, I just firstly want to start with, someone actually messaged me and they were like, Sinead, show the bad sides of Australia. Like, I know your side isn't a normal side because you've got such good opportunities, and I really do understand that perception of it all, because I have worked a little more, and I'm in a different position than I was when I first got here. But when I first got here, I had the hardest time, to the point where I was in a really, really dark place, and you would have heard about my dark place, and it was in Australia, and I also healed in Australia. So it's a very, very special place. But what I will say is that it's not easy when you first get here. I'm very lucky because I've already been here before and I've settled in really, really well. But when you first get here, it's so hard to make friends. It's so hard to settle in. And I didn't know how to make friends when I first got here. So making friends when you're in your 20s is a little bit harder, especially if you're used to your old friends and you're used to the patterns that you had. But what I learned is I didn't get settled for 8 months. I swear it was really hard. But you know what kept me here? Having followers that were supporting me, a little bit of pride, and I kept on staying here, and it really did take me 8 months to really feel the joy. And once you go through all those uncomfortable positions, you feel so super proud of yourself. So if you get somewhere and it's really hard and you're out of your comfort zone and it's very difficult, then when you finally get to that point of getting settled and liking it, you're overwhelmed with so much proudness of yourself for sticking through it. So I always say this when people are moving to a new country or a new city or whatever, is hang in there, because it's coming. And once you find your tribe, once you find people to depend on, who you can call in the middle of the night, who can come over and build your furniture with you, then you will find peace and happiness and safety. So if you're in that position, please hang in there. It's my best advice for you. So yeah, Australia's going really, really well, and I'm so pleased to be here, and hopefully I can bring brand new content and things for you as well, because I'm just ready to take on a new adventure. So yeah, that's the moving country. And then the next thing I want to talk about is obviously like I've had surgery now. I had a laparoscopy for my endometriosis. So I already am diagnosed with adenomyosis. They also diagnosed it again with the laparoscopy. And yeah, they went and they found stage 3 endometriosis, which was all around my pelvic region, all over my like water pipes. And they did a lot of work. They actually couldn't believe how much was there, you know what I mean? So it's amazing to have an amazing doctor who, you know, believed me and took me for surgery straight away, because that's obviously very hard and I know that. But I just quickly wanted to bring awareness to endometriosis. I won't talk about it for very long because we have talked about it before, but there is just these quick symptoms, and I'm just going to show you this or tell you the symptoms quickly from what I had. So a lot of pain during ovulation, pain during sex. My hair fell out, very, very, very tired, especially in the evenings, and digesting food in the evenings was probably my worst, because, you know, it's around your organs. So when you're trying to digest food, it's it can be very, very painful. I also had very intense periods, and I'd say the biggest pain is the ovulation pain. So just watch out for that. Like real severe pain on your period and ovulation is actually not normal, and that's something that I read in the period repair manual, is that all these things are not normal. So had the surgery. I definitely feel a lot better, and I'm so happy. And I am getting still pain, which is normal because adenomyosis, they can't do anything about that at this moment. It's in the lining of the womb, whilst endometriosis is where the scar tissue is all over the organs, like it grows on the organs, whilst adenomyosis is in the lining of the womb, and you can't really go in there and take it out. So my quality of life is definitely better. I still suffer, but I manage it so much better now because I know what it is. I'm aware of it, and I know that I can calm my nervous system through meditation, through yoga, through breath work. All these things really help me manage my pain. And I just want you to know that if you've got endo or adeno, pain can be managed. And, you know, when I first found out about it, I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, I have to get a hysterectomy and all this. But some of you amazing people will send me messages and be like, Sinead, there's so many holistic ways to manage your pain, along with like supplements and diet. And I have a different diet. I have different supplements. And, you know, I feel a million times better. And yeah, some days are hard, but that's why it's so important to get diagnosed and get listened to, because once you're listened to, you can move forward with a pain management plan. So I just want all my endo girls to know, like, there is hope. And yeah, so we're on a new journey, and yeah, that's that journey. Oh, and then there's a few things I wanted to cover today. Oh yeah, so my business, The Brave Way, is 1 year old, and we had a big party for it as well, which is such an amazing achievement. Even to throw a party, like being able to afford that and being able to, you know, like my company to afford that and be able to like cater for everyone and like give back to the people that like paid for The Brave Way. And I just want to say thank you so much. And if you're interested in meditation, The Brave Way is a 21-day meditation course. It goes through manifesting, visualizing, self-confidence, self-worth, and getting clarity in who you are, and just bringing a little bit of light to your life to just help you have a better quality of life. So if you're interested, you can get a 10% discount with the Sinead Says 10% off. Sinead Says 10. Okay, so if you're interested in that. And I'm just really proud of my business. We did so much. We gave £12,000 to charity, which is an amazing achievement. I love being able to give that money to the charity. We now have 10,000 members, which is actually insane. And we sponsored a football team. We've spoken at events with like 5,000 people. And I just want to say thank you all so much for supporting that business. And that is amazing, and I'm loving it. And the new things to come, we're trying to, at this moment, we are going to build a membership site. So it's going to have loads of different types of meditations and different sections like self-love, entrepreneurship, abundance, and hopefully we'll get that out in the new year. We're way behind schedule at the minute, but you know, we will get there. And so I'm so excited for that in my business, and to like, my goals would be to hire more people, and just bring more people on board. I just love hiring people, and I don't know, I'm a really good boss. So there we go. So yeah, like I actually also wanted to talk. I will talk about the breakup because I know that I'm like looking at my notes as if I'm not going to just talk about it freely. But yeah, obviously I am going through a breakup and it is very hard because we were so public, and I do understand that you guys probably need closure. You probably need a little bit of closure as well as what as well as like me, and it's hard because I think I just need people to understand, to have positive regard for other people, because people are not their actions and their behaviors. So that's why actions and behaviors that was going on in the relationship will not be spoke about, because people are not their things. I think Jack is an amazing person, and we literally had the best 2 years. There was nothing really, there's no crazy tea, guys. Like I know people are like waiting for this tea, where in fact it was just a lot of things were happening. Needs and wants were just not being met. It's just hard to feel loved when your needs and wants are not being met. And, you know, there's only so much you can work on it before you know that you're in two completely different places. And if I didn't love myself, it would have been so hard to let go. But because I love myself and I know what I want and I know what my worth is and I know that I'm going to be okay, then I just know, then, you know what your boundaries are, and you know that if they're being broken, I'm trying to just be really, I'm trying not to say much about it because I just feel like he's an amazing, amazing person, and I just really want him to be happy and I want me to be happy, and we are friends. And I know everyone's like, oh, you're friends and you're not friends. We are actually friends. We don't follow each other on Instagram anymore because I've always said this from day one, that you can't follow your ex on Instagram. We did it for a while, but obviously when people become single, because me and Jack broke up and nobody knew we had broken up for 2 whole months, like we didn't come on and talk about it. Obviously people started to speculate. I understand that people are speculating about the breakup, but I didn't officially come on and announce it until 2 months, and that gave us so much time to heal, so much time to just be us. Like we weren't that couple that was like going out and trying to get back at each other and getting with other people. Like we didn't do that at all, and we were so respectful in the breakup. And you know what I mean? It was an amicable, lovely breakup, and we still have so much time for each other. And then, we got to Sydney, and we're both actually, we started acting single then, like I didn't be single for, to be honest, guys, like I have no single stories for you. Like I literally don't. I thought I would have single stories, but I don't. And maybe that's another podcast. I'm not on that single bandwagon. Yeah. In regards to the breakup and the friendship, I think it's too hard for me to watch him, and it's too hard for him to watch me. You get that obsessive side of the breakup where like you're like looking at all their followers, like look at all these girls, and obviously being so public has been so hectic. And I am going to talk about how hard the public breakup was, and I knew it was going to be hard because he is so involved. He's on these podcasts, and it makes me sad that he's not going to be on these podcasts anymore, but we're doing what's best for us, and we're both now happy, and he's still living here too, and it's amazing. I'm so happy he came. I actually wanted him to come because I just knew he would love this way of life, and he does, and he's doing really good, and he's taking on his own new journey. But the public breakup, oh my god, when we first announced it, 5,000 new followers in one day. Girls, come on. Like, but you know what it is? I turned it around. I turned that around to, I want this person to be happy. And 5,000 girls, there could be one girl that's going to be the right girl for him. And that's the way I thought about it. Was the old me, before awareness, before all the work I did myself, I would have been like, my ego would have been so bruised. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to get with these girls and blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, I'm just like, what do I want? I want to be happy. I want him to be happy. And we weren't happy together at that point. So like, it's just part of it. And I've just had to freaking deal with it. And I get it. But I can't believe how thirsty girls are. Like, I can't believe, like, the messages, like, people asking him on dates and all, and he was, like, as soon as that happened, I was like, oh my God. Yeah, and, like, navigating a breakup through awareness, I think, was so important for me, like, understanding, like, when I was younger, I remember being in uni and breaking up with my boyfriend, and I wanted him to know I was having the best time. I wanted him to be, like, groveling over me. Even though we were broken up, I was like, I wanted him to be, like, looking at me and, like, I wanted to pretend everything was okay. And even there was this moment, I remember I was in Belfast, and I had a really bad day, one day, and I just spent the whole day looking at all my photos and pictures, videos of me and Jack throughout the whole 2 years, and I just cried and cried and cried. And the next day I was like, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do a meditation class in the city, and I'm just going to have a better day today, because I did a lot of processing the day before. And that was like a good day. And it wasn't a good day, but like, I got up and I put my story being all, today we had a beautiful morning, blah, blah, blah. And that day, he watched my story, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't want him to think that I'm like happy whenever I'm literally crying. And like, you know, I don't want him to suffer either, just for the, like, because if you want someone to suffer in your breakup, like you want them to think like that you're doing better than them and all this. Sometimes that comes down to like your own lack of validation, because you need them to be loving you to feel loved. You need them to be coming after you to feel loved. And I used to be like that. I used to be one of those people that needed all that to feel loved, when in fact I was like, I actually do love myself. I validate myself, and I don't need him to be suffering in order for me to, I just don't need him to be suffering to feel good about myself. So I even messaged him that day, and it goes, you've watched my story today and I've had a good morning, but I just want to let you know that like last night or yesterday, I literally cried the whole day, and I'm it's actually very sad, and I just want you to know that like this is not easy for me, and I don't want you to look at my story and think it's easy. So I think that's so important. You know, I wrote all this in my journal in this breaking up. I was like, how much I've grown in this breakup, and how much I've grown as a person since like my last relationship. And, you know, I'm a lot more mature. And if you want any tips on breakup, we do have a breakup podcast, and I talked about all the techniques. And you know what? It was even hard for me to do any of those techniques at the start. I didn't want to deal with anything. I didn't meditate because I didn't want to deal with my feelings. And that's okay, because sometimes it's just a little bit too hard. And, you know, I'm only really starting to process it about 2 months later. I was like, okay, let's do all my journaling, do all my meditation, like really cry, listen to Dermot Kennedy. Dermot Kennedy just brings out an album every time I break up with someone. I can't cope. But anyway, he's really helped me. So thank you, Dermot. If you want to come on the podcast and talk about it, like hit me up. So yeah, like it's been good to have this awareness as well. And, you know, like even when you break up with someone and they first get with someone, you're just like, it literally, you just know it's going to tear you apart, and you're so scared of it. You almost even get back with the person because you're like, you don't want them to see anyone else. But you must understand that that's ego, realistically, because you don't want to feel unloved. You don't want to feel unvalidated. You want to feel like they're picking someone else over you. But in fact, if you actually sit down and write, okay, what is it I want? What is it I deserve? And if this person is not matching you, then like them getting with someone else is just going to happen, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And like, I've been through it before, through past breakups. Like it's never easy when that first happens. But let's be real, the first time you get with someone, it's not the vibe, is it? You literally roll over and you're like crying, like, oh my God. Yeah, not that I have any single stories for you anyway, but hopefully I'll get back into the swing of it, which brings me into being single at 30. A lot of people have asked me, like, how do you feel being single at 30? And honestly, I don't think I would have cared too much. Only like, I think it's harder for me with the diagnosis. I feel like, you know, sometimes I do feel like there's like a bit of a ticking, a ticking timer, because, you know, endometriosis and adenomyosis can cause fertility issues. And like, I just feel like, oh, it'd be better to have a baby sooner rather than later, but you know, not anytime soon or anything like that. But obviously I feel a little bit more pressure, and I definitely think that dating in your 30s is very difficult. Like I've gone out and, you know, people chat to me on nights out, and then I'm like, oh, what age are you? Like, 25. I don't know why I attract 25-year-olds, but I'm just like, you know, that's not what I'm looking for, and I know exactly what I want. And apparently when you turn 30, there's this massive shift. Like anyone over 30, there's this massive shift that like when you do get with someone, everything does go faster. You know what you want. Like for right now, I know exactly what I want in a partner. So if this person who I'm dating doesn't have these qualities, then I'm just like, you know, I don't want to waste my time. I know exactly what I want for me. And I think it's important to look at the positives of dating in your 30s, because you're a lot more self-aware, you have learned a lot more lessons, and you're a lot more confident in yourself, and you're more like self-assured. And I just think there is so much positives. Single at 30, guys, we're rocking with it. We're getting there. And as for like the public breakup and the nasty messages, I'm going to talk about having a good sense of self in a minute, because I wanted to talk about Harry and Meghan, and I think it'll tie in. But, you know, I did get a lot of nasty messages, people having these presumptions of who I am and who Jack is and what happened in the relationship and or personalities. And you know what? Like the only people that's going to know is us. And the only person that I need to assure is myself. I don't need to come on and tell people who did what and how I'm not this person or he's not this person. I feel like I'm really I have a good sense of self, and I don't need to come on and be like, oh, I didn't do that. I don't need to sit there and say I didn't do that and he didn't do that. Whatever happens is between us. And the worst thing is, like, even things that happen, like if I could say things that happen, like people are so quick to judge and be hateful to that person or whoever I'm talking about. But when you truly think about it, if you're what all your mistakes were so public, like yours wouldn't be perfect either. And like you are not those mistakes, and you're not those behaviors. And that's what I've been learning a lot, that sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we do things out of insecurities, sometimes that's just what happens, and we have to just learn from that. And if I make mistakes, then it's my job to be aware of them and understand them. And when I do make a mistake, I know, and I'm aware. It's all in my journal. Yeah, I just want everyone to just have a little compassion for everyone and be like, what if it was you? And, you know, and the worst thing is there's no tea. There was no drama. Like, it's just two people who wanted two completely different things, and it's just not in our path right now. Not gonna get sad. I don't know, guys, I've been an emotional wreck today, but not because, like, I'm emotional wreck. Do you know what I cried my eyes out at today? I cried my eyes out at Ronaldo crying at the World Cup. Like, he literally was bawling his eyes out and walked into the thing, and I was hysterically crying. I can't go. But yeah, I maybe will talk more about the breakup in the future, because I just feel like there's nothing to say. Like, I have so much goodness to say about this person, and he's literally, I just want him to be happy, and he just wants me to be happy, and we're getting on grand. It's been 4 months now, so we're getting there. Healing, getting there. So people are asking me about the Harry and Meghan documentary, and do you know what I want to say about this? Is that I could sit here and I'm seeing everyone's TikToks about, you know, talking about this documentary and her persona and her character and his character and what have they done, and everyone rather loving them or hating them. And I'm not going to talk about them as a person, because I feel like we do not really know what happened, and we don't really understand the full picture. But what I think I can talk to you about with this documentary is what we can learn from the behavior and the view of the audience, and how we can become better people through learning through other people's human behavior. So the Harry and Meghan documentary, if you don't know, this is Harry and Meghan. They are royal family, and they've just taken themselves out of the royal family, and they basically did a documentary, you know, telling their side of the story, which I understand. There's a lot of money involved as well, and I think like it's on your terms, it's amazing, that's fine. But on the start of the documentary, she was like, everyone's hearing everyone's side of the story, and why can't you hear it from our voice, right? And I understand that, because like I'm the same, because sometimes I want to shout and be like, I didn't do that, I didn't say that, especially in this public breakup when everyone's making all these assumptions. But having a really good sense of self, which I spoke about before, will lead you to not really care what other people think, and be like, if you think all these things about me, then that's fine, because that's your vibe, because I know what I'm like. And if I make a mistake in all these things, then it's my mistake, and I can think about that myself. It's none of your business to judge. And I just think having a high sense of self will, because I feel like she probably is a little bit tortured of feeling that everyone hates her, and I do understand that, but also I can relate in a way, because obviously I get a lot of hate being in a public space. And you know, through the breakup I got a lot of hate. Actually, somebody sent me, like, Jack was doing a Q&A the other day, and someone was like, are you glad you broke up with Sinead? She seemed very controlling. And somebody sent to me like, are you going to say something about this? Like, and I'm like, no, because that, if I come on there and say, hey, this is actually what happened, then it's not going to change that person's narrative. It's going to make that person's narrative like even worse and bigger. And I'm just going to have to let that happen. And that's why me sitting there trying to explain and do all these things to try and tell people that I'm something that I'm not. Like, do you know what I mean? I am babbling a wee bit. But basically, because my sense of self is so high, I'm just like, I know what I'm like. I know that I'm doing everything in my power to be a good person. And if I make a mistake, I'm a freaking human. And you should have compassion for other humans for making mistakes. And I just think like it's in your duty now to heighten your sense of self. And how do you heighten your sense of self? You get to know yourself, all right? You actually like journal, become more aware, read, and just find yourself. And when you actually find yourself, you know everything about yourself. When somebody, I always have this analogy, I actually don't know, did I get this from a book or just make this up? I don't know. So basically, like if someone throws something at you and you don't have a high sense of self, you're like Velcro, it just sticks to you and it holds on to you. But you can actually have a rubber shield. You can be like, I love myself, I have a high sense of self, I know exactly who I am. And then you have this rubber shield, and like somebody throws something at you, it just bounces off. And I feel like when you have that shield, anything can happen. People can say negative things about you. People say bad things or bad things, good things. And you're just like, okay, it doesn't really matter what anyone thinks apart from myself. Especially when you examine your own behavior all day, every day. Like I examine my own behavior, everything I do, everything I say. I read all the books about human behavior. I just love everything about it. So I examine my behavior every day. So if someone's going to try and put a label on me or judge me for something and just make up random shit about me, I'm just like, go for it. Because if I came on the story, they're just going to make a bigger deal about it, and it's not going to change. Because obviously I think Megan came on to really try to be like, no, I'm actually a good person, and she could be a good person. I don't know, but it doesn't matter, because see that person that wrote and said, or all those people that are saying Megan's this, Megan's that, they'll watch that and think she is that and she is that, no matter what she says or what she does. So I hope that like she finds, or she has a good sense of self, and I am happy they're talking and sticking up for themselves and showing their own story, and that's great. But I just think we can learn from this. If you have a high sense of self, you can have like a rubber shield, and if somebody throws something at you, it can just bounce off. I also, if you want to find yourself, there's a Finding Yourself podcast on this podcast as well, of all these things that will help you. Because even if you think about you in the workplace and somebody says something negative about you, if you're crumbling at that and like you're getting real anxiety, like you're kind of dependent on them liking you. You're kind of being a people pleaser in order to feel good about yourself, in order to be validated. And that also leads you to be doing things that you shouldn't be doing, because you want people to like you, and you're constantly molding yourself to every single person that you meet, because you don't have your own sense of self. But when you have your own sense of self and you have your own boundaries, you know exactly who you are, you're able to say no, you're able to not people please, and you're able to like stick up for yourself. And every time that you do that, stick up for yourself, have your own boundaries, you gain this self-confidence and this self-love and this high sense of self, and it's almost like you feel unbreakable. And I feel like I've got to that point myself. I'm like, geez, anybody could say anything, because I do get some nasty things. And, you know, I'm just like, yeah, like, if you think that, then that's what you think. And I cannot not change your, you know, perspective of me. So yeah, that's what I thought. That was a nice lesson to learn, right? Because we don't want to like diss people in this. I think like it was a good lesson for me to watch. And then also like a lot of people on TikTok and all are like, oh my God, she's so like lying about this, lying about that. Now, this is a good lesson, especially for men. All right, who are just disingenuous, right? It's hard to know with her, because obviously she's an actress, so it's hard to know if she's genuine or not. And I'm not going to sit here and try to analyze her behavior and see if she's genuine or not. I'm just going to talk about the moments of where people thought she was disingenuous. So there was a moment where she says, I had no clue about Harry. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know anything about the royal family, blah, blah, blah. And I think this doesn't match her character, because she's a well-researched woman. She's an activist, and all these things that she well researches, and she didn't well research this, so it doesn't actually line up with her character. And at that moment where she says she didn't do that, that was very hard for us all to believe, and that could have been the one disingenuous moment. But now there's one disingenuous moment, and we feel like everything is a lie. And this is a good example for men who are players. So I always say this, right? Always be honest if you're dating people, if you are like, you know, like players, and they're always lying, giving like love bombing, telling girls they give them everything, and then just getting what they want and then leaving, right? They're going to have this name for themselves, and what's going to happen in years to come, they're actually going to find the girl that they love, and it's going to backfire on them, because all these other people are going to be telling these stories about this person being, you know, disingenuous, and then the love of your life is really wary of you. So this is why I always say is to just try your best to be honest. And she's probably trying her best to just come across as genuine as possible, but like sometimes it's hard to believe. So if you have one lie or one disingenuous moment, sometimes that can go on to your character. So I just want the lesson to be that let's just be honest with people. Let's just be really honest, because then other people are going to think you're dishonest in all weeks of life. So, and that's why, you know, when you're in a relationship, right, and it's one small lie, like the guy's lying about staying out, I'm like, you don't care. You don't understand. I don't care that you're staying out all night. I just care that you have lied to me, because how am I meant to trust you if you've lied to me about this small thing? So the lesson from this documentary for me is to just try and be truthful and be truly honest. And when you're truly honest, then it's not going to backfire you like that. And people will trust you more. And we want to be trusted and vulnerable and and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that was like a night because we needed to like keep up with current affairs. That's what's going on at the moment. And like I thought I would do a little current affairs section, and I also want people to message in with questions about anything I said here today, or, you know, questions they want answered. We have the Sinead Says Podcast Instagram, and we have scenarios@sineadhegarty.com. If you have any scenarios or anything you want to ask, we really want to get more involvement from you, because some people still ask me questions about podcast before, and I was like, okay, there needs to be a section for questions that you ask me, and we can talk back at them as well. And I did put up a question box on my Instagram, but I kind of felt like everyone's going to ask me about the breakup anyway, so I was like, oh, but hopefully like you can understand that, you know, I just feel like there's not really much to say, and you know, he's such a good person, and you know, we're just trying to navigate this life. Okay, I'm going to look through my questions and see if there's a few questions, and then I'm going to wrap it up because 32 minutes, and I wanted the first one to be short and sweet. Oh, everyone's actually asking me like really nice questions about the Brave Way, like what's next for the Brave Way, and I've already answered that question. But we're also going to be doing Brave retreats. We're looking at really good venues and good things in different countries. So now that we're all settled, we're going to be working away to do more Brave retreats and stuff like that. So they're just asking like, what are my goals now that I'm back in Australia? Like, I feel like I'm just sitting in my goals right now. I'm just like, I just needed to like have a base, buy a sofa, and then just enjoy my life for a little bit. But yeah, we're going to be doing loads of retreats, loads of events, and yeah, we're going to try to do a little bit more, like more business events, like keynotes and stuff, and like just try and expand and yeah, do loads of stuff and events. So very, very excited. We're doing book club now next week, so watch out for that if you're in the Brave community. Oh, okay. So book of the week or book of the month, I just finished Everything I Know About Love. Wow, I loved it. And it's the best breakup. It's the best one after a breakup. Like, it gave me so much happiness vibes. Like, it was so relatable. Like, the person was, it's like a memoir, and she's a bit chaotic, and like she's really honest and about everything in her life. You know, the time she felt insecure, you know, she had problems with her body image, and you know, she had problems with her friend. There was like bits of heartbreak, and there was loads of life lessons, but the biggest lesson of all was just like how your friends are soulmates. And I just needed that wee read. So like, if you want a wee nice read, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly, Alderton. I absolutely loved it. I was so sad when I finished it. It's funny, it's witty, it's great. I had loads of little lessons, and I wanted to talk about the lessons. Maybe I'll try and get her on the podcast, because she's about. So yeah, that's a great book. I'm also reading The 4-Hour Workweek, which I didn't think I would enjoy, but I'm actually really enjoying it. And I think everyone would enjoy it. Like, even like the tips on emails, you know, how to be more efficient with your work, how to word your emails so that you don't have to email back and forth. Like, there's so much random things. And one of the most important, or one of the things he said, actually, I think I wrote down a few lessons from it. And I do want to talk about wee bits and pieces that I learned throughout my books and studying as well. But I think one of the biggest lessons I got from that was people don't want to be millionaires. They want to experience what millionaires have, freedom and time. So then he teaches you how to have freedom and time in any sort of job, so that you can have freedom and time, because people don't really want to be millionaires. They just want to do what millionaires do, which is have freedom and have time. And then the whole book is dedicated to give you freedom and time. So I highly recommend that book. It's amazing. I'll put it in the show notes, as well. But yeah, I think that's all for the questions. Like, there was just one just about those book recommendations, so I thought I'd give those 2 books. Just people ask me about me and Jack, and obviously I've cleared up a few things, and there's not much to tell. I'm sorry that there's not much to tell, and I might talk about the life or the lessons that I learned as well throughout it, but it's not really the time, I don't think, at all. So I think that's it, and we're off. Oh yeah, we're off to have our Brave trip away. We're going up to Port Douglas for some chill time tomorrow. So let me know what you thought about the first podcast, and so excited to start the season. So we're going to structure it in a different way. So we hope you really enjoy it, and I'll see you next week. And don't forget to subscribe and share anything. That really, really helps us. And thank you so much for 2 million downloads. Woo!